Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in.
Today, we will be covering Anthropic's launch of Claude Opus 4.8 with new agentic workflows, Anthropic's massive $65 billion funding round at a nearly $1 trillion valuation, and Mistral's big rebrand and European industrial AI push at its Paris summit. Starting with the model news, Anthropic shipped Claude Opus 4.8, and the pitch is less about being a smarter chatbot and more about Claude becoming a long-running work engine. The headline feature is something called dynamic workflows inside Claude code, where Claude can plan and run hundreds of parallel subagents in a single session, then verify the outputs before reporting back. In plain terms, instead of asking Claude to write one function, a developer can hand it an entire codebase migration and let it spin up an army of helper agents to chew through the work in parallel. Anthropic is also leaning hard on honesty improvements. They claim Opus 4.8 is roughly 4 times less likely than the previous Opus 4.7 to let flaws in its own code slip by unremarked, with lower rates of deception and misuse cooperation. A staff engineer quoted in the release, Tom Pritchard, put it simply, saying Opus 4.8 has noticeably better judgment. That phrase captures what Anthropic seems to be chasing here. Not flashier output, but more trustworthy output you can actually leave running unsupervised on real work. There's also a cheaper fast mode that runs at 2.5 times the speed and 3 times cheaper than the previous fast mode, which matters because agentic workflows burn through a lot of tokens. And Anthropic teased that its next tier, the Mythos class models, should reach all customers in the coming weeks once stronger cyber safeguards are in place. Now to the money side, because Anthropic also announced a $65 billion Series H led by Altimeter, Dragoneer, Green Oaks, and Sequoia. That values the company at $965 billion post-money, which is right at the edge of the $1 trillion club. Anthropic says Claude's run rate revenue crossed $47 billion earlier in May, and the round includes $15 billion of previously committed hyperscaler investments, including $5 billion from Amazon. The AP noted the raise pushes Anthropic ahead of OpenAI in both reported valuation and revenue, while also flagging that Frontier Labs are still wrestling with bubble concerns and heavy losses. The more revealing part is where the money is actually going. Anthropic disclosed recent capacity agreements with Amazon for up to 5 gigawatts, Google and Broadcom for 5 gigawatts of next-generation TPU capacity, and SpaceX for Colossus 1 and Colossus 2 GPU capacity. That's an enormous bet on raw compute, and it tells you what the next phase of the race actually looks like. It's less about who has the cleverest architecture and more about who can convert capital into enough inference and training capacity to keep agents both useful and affordable at scale. Anthropic CFO Krishna Rao framed the raise around customer demand, saying the funding will help the company serve the historic demand and bring Claude to more workplaces. And Anthropic pointed out that Claude is the first frontier model available across all 3 major clouds, AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure, which is a quiet but important moat. It means enterprise customers can pick Claude without having to pick a side in the cloud wars. Finally, over in Paris, Mistral held its AI Now Summit 2026 and made it very clear it does not want to be just a model lab anymore. The French company rolled out Mistral for industrial engineering, a new unified agent called Vibe, and announced a 10-megawatt inference data center in Les Ulis, opening in the 3rd quarter. Vibe is pitched as a long-horizon productivity and coding assistant. Mistral says it can catch up across your inbox and calendar, run deep research, draft deliverables, orchestrate recurring work, and take coding tasks all the way from request to merged pull request. The industrial engineering push is where things get genuinely interesting. Mistral says it's working with Airbus, BMW, and ASML on use cases like aircraft operations, crash simulation, high-performance part design, and control loops. These are sensitive, high-stakes industries where European companies may not love the idea of depending on American hyperscalers for their core AI infrastructure. Co-founder Arthur Mensch told Le Monde, "We want to be an independent and full-stack player." That sums up the strategy. Mistral is going after the entire AI value chain: models, agents, physics simulation, professional services, and now its own inference hardware on French soil. Le Monde reported Mistral is targeting €1 billion in revenue by the end of 2026, which is ambitious, but tracks with how aggressively they're expanding the surface area of the business. Rebranding Le Chat into Vibe is a small piece of that, but the bigger move is positioning Mistral as the sovereign, enterprise-first alternative for customers who want a full stack they can control end-to-end, rather than stitching together pieces from OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google.
Thank you for listening to AI Convo Cast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.